For students that are interested in getting into politics, what books have you read over the years, the course of your life actually, that you would recommend reading, and why?
Well, one of my favorite books that I hope students will look at, and I've actually encouraged many students, especially at graduation speeches for students to look at for leadership, is Lincoln on Leadership. This has been one of my favorite books. It's a little bit worn out right now, but I read this many, many years ago, and it talks about Abraham Lincoln's principles and how he was able to get things done. And one of the things it talks about is that he would go out among his troops, especially during the time of war. He would depend upon his top lieutenants, per se, to give him back information also. He valued the advice of other people. He didn't have to think he knew all the answers. He actually sought out wise counsel from other people. He also was a very honest man. I mean, that's why we called him Honest Abe, which I think is a very important character quality in any type of leader. And he was just a great role model for not only our students looking towards the future, maybe doing something in politics, but even for people like myself who have been in politics for quite some time.
I noticed you have other books there.
I do.
Which ones, how did they impact you and why?
Well, this is one I hope to finish reading. I started it, but it's called The Black Swan, and it's about the improbable. You know, as people, we tend to think about things we know, but it's what we don't know that brings out the creative spirit in ourselves. And it also talks about events in history, events in current day that happen, that causes unpredictable things to happen on down the line. And it talks about, you know, the thought of how the people that invented Google, you know, how it just changed the world instantaneously. And so it's a very fascinating book. I read portions of it, but I hope to finish it. This is one I haven't started at all, but it's one of my favorite people. It's Billy Graham, and it's a book called Nearing Home. And as he has aged, he's now talking about nearing home, you know, going to heaven. And of course it reflects upon his life and his faith. So I'm looking forward to reading that because he's had certainly a life that has touched so many people around the world. He's had a huge impact upon the soul of people. And now he's reflecting in this book, and once again I haven't read it yet, but about his own soul and nearing home, going to be with his Father. So I think that'll be a fascinating perspective, and a man that's counseled so many and talked about his faith and led so many people to strengthen their faith, that now he's reflecting upon that and what it's going to mean for his eternity. And one of my favorite authors that I just enjoy, and she's got many, many books, but it's Joyce Myers. She's a world-renowned minister, a lady, but she's got many books on leadership and about overcoming challenges in her life. She was an abused child in her early years of her life. She went through a lot of struggles, and it's about how ordinary people can do extraordinary things in their life. And so I always like to read encouraging, inspiring books on those topics. So there's always more things I'd like to read, but limited time, but these are some of my favorite topics.